This isn't motivation. I'm not here to push you, to hype you up, or to tell you that everything will magically work out if you just try harder. I'm not here to shout at you about discipline, hustle, or waking up earlier. I'm here for something quieter than that, something heavier, something real. I'm here because I understand. And if you're listening to this right now, there's a reason it doesn't feel loud. It feels like someone finally sat down next to you instead of standing over you. You've been strong for a long time, longer than most people realize, longer than anyone ever acknowledged. You didn't become strong because you wanted to. You became strong because there was no one else to carry what you were carrying. You became strong because quitting wasn't an option, breaking down wasn't allowed, and asking for help felt pointless. People look at you now and say things like, "You're so resilient. You always handle things so well. I don't know how you do it." What they don't see is the cost. They don't see the nights where your body was exhausted, but your mind wouldn't shut up. They don't see how often you had to swallow your emotions just to keep the peace. They don't see how many times you showed up for others while quietly falling apart inside. You learned early how to keep going, how to function while hurting, how to smile when it would have been easier to disappear for a while. And somewhere along the way, people stopped checking on you, not because they didn't care, but because you looked like you didn't need care. That's the cruel part about being strong. Your strength convinces the world you're fine, even when you're not. This isn't a speech telling you to be stronger. You've already done that. This is me saying something you rarely hear. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You are tired, not weak. You are overwhelmed, not broken. You are guarded because life taught you to be, not because there's something wrong with you. You didn't lose your softness. You protected it. There's a version of you people don't see. The one who still feels deeply. The one who still hopes, even after disappointment. The one who lies awake replaying conversations, wondering if you were too much or not enough at the same time. That version of you still exists. Quiet, patient, waiting to feel safe again. You've carried responsibilities that were never supposed to be yours alone. You became the reliable one, the calm one, the one who fixes, supports, adapts. And when life asked more of you, you didn't ask, "Why me?" You just adjusted. That adjustment, that's what exhausted you. Not failure, not weakness. Endurance. No one teaches you how draining it is to always be the one who understands. To always be the one who forgives first. To always be the one who holds everything together while your own needs sit quietly in the background. You didn't ignore your needs because you didn't have any. You ignored them because you thought everyone else's mattered more. This isn't motivation telling you to push through. This is permission to stop pushing for a moment. You're allowed to rest without earning it. You're allowed to feel heavy without explaining yourself. You're allowed to admit you're tired without adding, "But I'll be fine." Because sometimes "I'm fine" is just a habit you learn to survive. You've been living in survival mode for so long that calm feels unfamiliar. Peace feels suspicious. Stillness feels uncomfortable. Your nervous system doesn't know how to relax because it's been on guard for years. And here's something important you need to hear. Nothing is wrong with you for feeling this way. You're not lazy. You're not ungrateful. You're not falling behind. You're worn down. There's a difference. You didn't lose your direction. You lost your energy trying to carry everything alone. People love to give advice to someone like you. Just think positive. Be grateful. Others have it worse. They don't understand that you already know all of that. What you don't know is how to stop being the strong one without everything collapsing. So you keep going. Because stopping feels dangerous. But let me tell you something gently. You don't need to collapse to deserve care. You don't need to hit rock bottom to be allowed to slow down. You don't need a breakdown to justify rest. You've already earned it. This isn't motivation telling you to become someone else. This is understanding telling you that who you are right now makes sense. Your exhaustion makes sense. Your guarded heart makes sense. Your hesitation to trust makes sense. You didn't become cautious by accident. You learned it from being disappointed too many times. And still, you're here, still showing up, still trying, still hoping quietly. That says more about your strength than any loud success ever could. If you feel disconnected lately, it's not because you've lost yourself. It's because you've been giving pieces of yourself away for too long without refilling. If you feel numb sometimes, it's not because you don't care. It's because caring without support burns people out. If you feel like no one truly sees you, it's not because you're invisible. It's because you've been hiding your pain so well that people forgot to look deeper. This is the part no one tells you. Strong people don't need more pressure. They need safety, a place where they don't have to perform, a space where they don't have to be useful, a moment where they're allowed to just exist. That's what this is. Not a push, not a challenge, not a wake-up call, just understanding. And if this feels like someone finally put words to something you've been carrying silently, then let that sink in. You're not alone in this feeling. You're not failing at life. You're not running out of time. You're healing from years of being the one who held everything together. And healing doesn't look loud. It looks slow. It looks quiet. It looks like finally letting yourself breathe without guilt. Stay here for a moment, not to be motivated, but to be understood. Because sometimes, understanding is what gives you the strength to continue, without breaking yourself in the process. You don't realize how tired you are until someone tells you that you don't have to hold everything together right now. Until someone doesn't ask you to explain, doesn't ask you to be positive, doesn't ask you to make it make sense. You've spent so long being composed that chaos inside you learned to whisper instead of scream. That's why people think you're okay. That's why they assume you're managing. Because your pain learned how to behave. But pain that behaves still hurts. You didn't become distant because you stopped caring. You became distant because caring without being met teaches you to pull back quietly. You didn't become quiet because you had nothing to say. You became quiet because no one was really listening. There's a difference. You've lived in between expectations for a long time. Be strong but not cold. Be kind but don't be needy. Be independent but still available. Be understanding but don't ask too much. That constant balancing act is exhausting. And when you finally feel empty, people say things like you've changed. You're not like you used to be. What they don't say is you've been carrying too much for too long. You learned how to survive disappointment without making noise. You learned how to grieve things you never got without calling it grief. You learned how to keep your hopes small so they wouldn't hurt as much when they broke. That kind of self-control doesn't come from weakness. It comes from experience. You didn't stop dreaming. You just stopped letting dreams run your life. And maybe right now, you're in that strange space where you're not falling apart, but you're not excited either. You're functioning. You're doing what needs to be done, but something feels muted. That doesn't mean life lost its color. It means you've been protecting yourself. When you've been disappointed enough times, your nervous system doesn't crave excitement anymore. It craves stability, predictability, safety. That's not boring, that's wisdom. You're not chasing chaos anymore because you know how expensive it is. You're not impressed by intensity because you know it fades. You're not moved by big promises because you've seen how easily words disappear. What you want now is something quieter, something consistent, something that doesn't require you to overextend yourself just to be chosen. And here's something important. Wanting peace does not mean you're giving up on life. It means you're choosing yourself. You've already proven that you can survive. Now your body is asking if it's allowed to live. There are moments, late at night, early in the morning, when the noise fades and you feel it. That small ache. Not sadness exactly, more like longing. Longing to be understood without explaining. Longing to be held without performing. Longing to be chosen without conditions. You don't talk about that part much. Because you don't want to sound ungrateful. Because you don't want to seem weak. Because you're used to being the one who copes. But coping isn't the same as being okay. And you don't need to justify that. You've been loyal to situations that drained you, patient with people who didn't meet you halfway, forgiving when it cost you peace. That wasn't foolishness, that was hope. And hope doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. What hurts the most isn't that things didn't work out. It's that you gave them everything you had at the time. So when people tell you to just move on, they don't understand that you already did, practically. Emotionally, you're still untangling yourself from years of holding on. That takes time. You're not slow, you're careful now. You don't open up easily because you know what it costs to open up to the wrong place. You don't trust quickly because you've learned that consistency matters more than charm. You don't rush decisions because you've lived through the consequences of rushing. That's growth, even if it feels heavy. You're not stuck, you're recalibrating. There's a part of you that wonders if you'll ever feel light again, if joy will come back the way it used to, if excitement will feel safe instead of risky. It will, but not the same way. It won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It will feel calm. It will feel like exhaling without fear that the floor will drop out from under you. And that's how you'll know it's real. You don't need to become someone new. You don't need to heal perfectly. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need permission to stop being so hard on yourself. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not missing your chance. You're becoming someone who knows what they can no longer tolerate, and that's powerful. If right now all you can do is rest, then rest. If all you can do is breathe through the day, then breathe. If all you can do is show up quietly, that's enough. You don't owe the world your exhaustion. And you don't owe anyone the version of you that breaks just to keep them comfortable. This isn't motivation telling you to do more. This is understanding telling you that you've already done enough. And if this felt like someone finally spoke your language, then let that mean something. Not that you need fixing, but that you deserve gentleness. You've been strong long enough. Now you're allowed to be human. Stay with that thought, not as pressure, not as a goal, just as truth.